Hey, what's up, everybody? How is everyone doing? How is everybody doing today? Welcome aboard the Soul Train. For the next hour, I'm going to be your host. My name is Matt. Sometimes they call me the Grass Factor, Martin. How's everybody doing? I hope you had a fantastic weekend. Let's hear some lyrics Brandon Davis said. Not me, sir. Not me. I ain't good enough. I don't have it. I don't have what it takes, so they say. How's everybody doing? I hope you had an awesome weekend. Hope you found plenty to keep you company with everything that was going on. I'm gonna take just a second here to get everything kind of dialed in on my end, so I can make sure I can hear what I'm saying, and let me know if y'all have trouble hearing me. I did some changes in my office. I had to shuffle some stuff around. And so I just, you never know. You never know. Me and technology and IT nerds and all that fun stuff going on. It's starts to get a little loosey-goosey, if you know what I mean. All right. So for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, welcome. This is what I like to call the Lawn Care Help Desk, or the live stream, or whatever you want to say. And I like to start off each of these shows with a big old "What's up, YouTube?" There it is. We got it out of the way. The way this show is structured is you ask questions, I provide answers. It's as simple as that. The more questions you ask, the longer I'll stay on here answering them. Outside of that, my background is turf grass management, so those are the areas in which I like to answer questions. If we're going to move into some topics, say like, trees and shrubs, maybe I can handle my own there for a little while. If we start getting too deep into the weeds, though, I'll have to tap out, and I'll tell you when and about that is. Kind of my background is I've been in lawn care, been in the green industry for the last 12 years, was in lawn care. That's where I built my career, my name, my reputation, and somehow, I guess it was, 4 years ago, I got started on the old boob tube here. And, it satisfies taking up time. My big proponent, what I like to do here on the YouTube is to make sure we are not spreading disinformation. I like to crack the codes and find out why we do what we do, make sense of it from a scientific perspective. If you're not interested in understanding why we do what we do when it comes to lawn care, turf management, whatever the case may be, then I'm probably not the channel for you. If you do get entertainment in taking your knowledge level to the next level, then you might have found yourself on the receiving end of a good time here tonight. Granted, one thing I do have to mind everybody right now is that I do make mistakes. Sometimes I do this all real time. This is live right here. I have no preparation. And because I am answering questions real time, sometimes I will get crossed up on some of the words that come out of my mouth in one way or another, and therefore I may say something wrong. Always double check everything I say. Always double check everything everybody says. Okay? All right, now that I think that we got that out of the way, I think we were good to go. So again, the way this show typically works is you ask questions, I provide answers. I can cover basically any topic you want to related to lawn care, and we can go as deep in it as you want, or we can be as subsurface and just scratching the surface as you want. If you want me to simplify things, tell me to simplify. One thing I will tell you is that lawn care is not simple. And anybody who is oversimplifying lawn care is devaluing the science that goes into why we do what we do, and that's exactly what I am not for. Okay? I'm here to make you sweat. So, now that we got this out of the way, we're going to move into the part of the show I like to call the roll call. And I saw first and foremost, who was in here? The Lawn Stripes. It's a twofer for him, baby. It is a twofer. It took him a minute to get going, but once he saw that link hit, he's like, damn it, I'm all over it, boy. Javine was in here at number 2. Deuces. No, that's Darkness. Deuces. Darkness. We got OSU Turf Man here. Gray Fox from Seymour, Tennessee. How are you doing, good sir? You're not too far away from me there. I'm in Knox, Vegas. I've done a little bit of time over in Seymour. I was not in jail doing time over there, but I feel like I've been down there for some work before. And I think a lot of the times when I was going to Seymour, I was driving through on my way to like Townsend and stuff like that. I used to do a little bit of tree work over there. Maybe doing some of those injections, if you know what I'm saying. If you know what I'm saying. Tree injections, where you actually inject into the transport tissue of the tree. So anyway, I did that somewhere over in the Seymour area. I promise I've been over there. What's up, Sandman's Dreamland? We got Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventures. Mark Taylor, what's up, Big Dog? Proline, Chandler Lawn. What's up, Colonel Corn? Of course, B. Davis is in here. Larry George, Joe C., Aaron Taylor. Ada Zoysia, Warm Season Lawn Care. He said, hello, ladies. How are you, sir? Ed Morris, Super TA, Brian Morales. Look at all this. Turf Therapy in the house. Man, look at this. We got Solid Ground. What's up, Russell Skipper? How are you, good sir? Glad to see you here. David Winch, Danger Lawn. All right. Let's do this. Let's jump into this. I think I saw a couple questions up here. So again, this is the time where you go ahead, you enter your questions into the chat. I will get to it. Understand that it will take me a minute. I'm going to take these in order as I see them. If I skip your question, don't hesitate to ask again. It's not personal. Again, I make mistakes. I am fallible. I'm just another regular dude that's just into this and and makes his way through it somehow. All right. Let's see. I thought I saw one up here. The weather was so nice today. I was forced to clean out my flower beds. Don't you hate when that happens? Yeah, I'm doing some spring cleaning myself right now. I don't always enjoy it, but you got to do it in the spring. Chandler Hall says, going to smoke my perennial rye in my Bermuda grass tomorrow in Middle Tennessee. Is that the right timing? Yep. You're April 26th. I'd say, I can tell you from my Bermuda in the backyard, it's all primarily greened up right now. So I'd say, yeah, have at it, sir. What you pick to spray it out is kind of your flavor of poison. So, run with it, make your choice and run with it, whatever the case may be. But yeah, it is go time, sir. I agree with you on your timing. Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventure says, I've used 2,4-D on clover before and it works, but it doesn't completely get rid of it. Should I try triclopyr or continue using 2,4-D? What would you do? Okay, Andy, I did a video that is all about broadleaf weed control, and one of the things that was stated in there specifically was clover control using a variety of different products. And where you saw the greatest level of efficacy would either be a 2,4-D ester-based formulation, or when you combine a 2,4-D ester with something more potent like a triclopyr ester. So I would not discontinue using 2,4-D. I would add triclopyr to your 2,4-D in order to get the level of control that you are expecting. Terry Finch said, Matty 818 got my yard looking fuego. That's what I'm talking about. I hope that centipede is treating you right. Altman Lawn Service says, what rate of 0052 SOP should I use per 1,000 square feet warm season grasses? Altman Lawn Service, that would all be based off how much potassium you need to get down. Okay, so, and the way you gauge how much potassium you need to get down is based on how much nitrogen you apply, because nitrogen, your nitrogen rates you apply is what's going to dictate your P and your K usage through the year. If you're confused about that and you want to see it in a real-time model, you can do the climate appraisal form from Pace Turf. Thank you, OSU Turf Man, for turning me on to this. I'm going to throw a link to it in here. You can actually fill it out with your weather data and get a very highly predictable nutrient requirement through the course of the year. And so gauging that you do apply those N rates that would be required for you, then it'll give you an output of how much potassium should you be applying. I would probably not apply more than 2 pounds per 1,000 square feet in a single application because you're starting to get up to a lot of potassium down at one time. And depending on your soil structure, you may not even be able to hang on to it. So I need a little bit more information there in order to give you an accurate answer, to be honest, because I don't know how much nitrogen you're using. I don't know what the CECs of your soil is. I don't know how much potassium you already have in your soil. So if it's one of those things, if you wanted to send me a copy of your soil test and let me look at it that way, then I can give you a better answer. All right, here we go. JH said, to clarify a question from last week, if I have a zoysia lawn, what can be used to kill the zoysia that creeps into a flower bed without translocating back and killing desirable turf? I would just use glyphosate. You'll be fine there. If you want to trick it out a little bit, then maybe you can use like Cheetah Pro glufosinate. You kind of pick your poison there. Kenny Cooper, unnecessary, sir. OSU Turf Man. In 2021, baby. That's some inside baseball right there. That is funny. Yeah, I think you're overcomplicating it, JH. You're not. If you're spraying zoysia that's translocating into your that's growing into your flower bed, spraying it with a little glyphosate, you're not going to start taking out large portions of your lawn. Will you get a little bit of bleed back on it? Probably, but just be safe in your application method. If you want to use like one of those dividers that you can spray on this side of the divider, and that way you protect everything on that side. That may help, but the other one would be using like a contact, like a diquat. Just understand that moves with water too, or you can use like the Cheetah Pro glufosinate too. Not quite as systemic as glyphosate. Dangelon says, what do you think will happen with Brian's MSM mishap in the 10X application? Is his pecan tree done for? No, gauging by the pH of his soil, I do not have any concerns about it. He has an acidic soil. What are you doing, Kevin Shepard? This is unnecessary. Some beach, somewhere. Where was I? I lost my place here. I think it's gonna be fine. He's got a low pH soil. I think he'll be okay. Could I be wrong? Yeah, it's totally a crapshoot right now, Dangerous. To be able to accurately predict that, who knows? Who knows? That's too difficult to say. But it's one of those things. Like, there's a reason why I did the video on metsulfuron methyl that I did, because metsulfuron methyl is it's a dangerous herbicide. And it's something, you miss a decimal point, you're off by 10x, and all of a sudden you can start causing some major issues, like this being one of those issues. And it's a super, super easy thing to do. That is one of the herbicides you cannot get. You're not going. Do you understand what I'm saying? You cannot get lackadaisical with it. There we go. Clint Kelly says, Matt, what is your recommendation for killing POA from cool season and warm season grasses? Thanks from Nashville. Okay, in cool season grasses, really your only bet is going to be ethofumicate and maybe exonerate. Those two would be really about it. Amikarbazone or ethofumicate. POA Cure. No, not POA Cure. POA Constrictor. I can't remember the other name of Progress would be the other one too. What are you doing, Danger Lawn? What is happening today? I didn't mean to hit that. Jeez. Yeah, so for cool season grasses, ethifumicate, amicarbazone, exonerate is probably going to be the only two options you have at this point. If it's Poa trivialis, you have no real options other than glyphosate, multiple applications, and even then, you're still only talking about 63% efficacy. Clint Kelly, I did a video kind of detailing the top 5 ways to control it in a variety of different grasses. But on warm season grasses, you have more options there. You have Form sulfuron, Revolver. You have trifloxysulfuron, Monument. What else? You can spray Katana. You can spray Rim sulfuron, Transit. You got more options. What's the new one with Transit in it? Negate. Negate is the new one. That's metsulfuron, methyl, and Rim sulfuron. So you've got some options there. Really, what I would ask then is, how broad spectrum do you need to be in your control? If you got more broadleaf weeds with POA, then probably something like Negate would be a better bet. If you've got more sedges coming up alongside your POA, then probably something like Monument would be your better bet. What's up, Peter? Hey, Paul, PPC is in the house. What's going on, man? Josh W. said, you have a lot for specifics. Do you recommend a place to find all-in-one overview of cool season grasses, maybe different location for levels of experience? No. Because in all honesty, Josh, the reality of the situation is this. There is no all-in-one overview. You can spend every day of your life studying turf, and you're never going to be able to take it all in. It's rapidly changing, even down to the genetics we use to seed into our lawns is changing. And because of that, a lot of the chemistries we have to use to manipulate the plant is also changing. So like I said at the start of the show, oversimplification is devaluation, in my opinion. And so that's not anything I would ever do, is try to oversimplify things, because by oversimplifying things, you take out the room for many, many, many variables. So my challenge to you would be to just begin learning all levels. Just don't stop. Don't hesitate. Go as deep into it as you possibly can. Get lost in the weeds. You're going to go through this cycle of understanding where you think you understand it, and you're going to feel like you have no idea what's going on. And then by the end of it, you feel like you might be able to pick up ones and twos. So just understand it's going to be a painful process, because we are dealing with chemistry to control biology and selectively kill specific species of plants that are growing in other species of plants. That's the power at hand when you're an applicator. That's what your license allows you to do. So it's not something to be taken lightly. On my truck at any one given time, I would have enough herbicide, I would have enough pesticide, insecticide to be able to wipe out massive populations. So in my opinion, when you're holding that much power, you're holding that much responsibility. Under no circumstance ever should that be oversimplified, ever. Not at all. I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying that's my mindset on the whole thing. So, no, it's not. There's not going to be an all-in-one overview, because it would be 300 video series. Let's see. Neighbor has tons of grassy weeds in the yard. Better to dig out or use chemicals, Roundup, or neither? Nick, there's a lot that goes into play there. I need a lot more information. One, what is the primary turf type? Two, where is it actually growing at? Like, are you in the north? Are you in the south? Are you in the east coast, west coast? What is it? Do you want to keep that primary turf type and try and proliferate that one, or do you want to switch turf types to something in a completely different sphere? So I need way more information than that. Cade Carter said, what is a good all-around preem for flower beds? It depends on what you're trying to do. I would say for a good one, Gallery is always going to be a good one. Snapshot is a good one. Golly, what is the one from BASF? There is a BASF. I'm going to look it up real quick. Freehand. Freehand is another one that's pretty good too. I like that one. Let's see. Where am I? Jay says, should I expect to run preventative fungicide on Zenith zoysia in central North Carolina? Is it prone to fungus or better to just run a curative as needed? I would not run a preventative fungicide on Zenith zoysia in central North Carolina. If you're dealing with lots of fungus problems, chances are there are problems in your NPK program. In those areas, yes, will you see it from time to time, a brown patch or disease in zoysia? Yeah, sometimes. What are you doing, Kelly? I said Kelly. You got the horn. You got the horn. Okay. Where am I? Oh, okay. Yeah, I would just treat it curatively. Where you are, you're going to have similar climate to like what I do here in Knoxville. And typically, most of your fungus problems can be kept at bay as long as you run a sound NPK program. If you're continually running into disease issues, chances are there's something missing in your program, either phosphorus or potassium. 95% of the time when I see zoysia lawns that are breaking out that bad in the transition zone and they send me a soil test, most of the time there's zero potassium in the soil and there's zero potassium in the program. That's just what I've observed. Adam View said, hey, Matt, question on tenacity. How is it that you can put it down right before you seed, then also after you seed? How long before you can use it again? Buddy, I'm not sure what you're asking. How is it that you can put it down right before you seed, then also after you seed? Because that's just the nature of how it works. So it's a bleacher, right? And it's only going to bleach certain sensitive grasses. And so that's how it actually works as a pre-emergent. It actually doesn't just prevent weeds from germinating. The weeds still germinate. They just germinate and they're white. There's no chlorophyll in it. Therefore, it can produce no carbohydrates for the root system. Therefore, the plant has no energy and it just starts to fizzle out and die. So that's how it actually works. And some grasses are going to be sensitive towards it, and other grasses are going to be not so sensitive towards it. So that's why you can use it as part of like a seed-safe pre-emergent. Andy's Lawn Care says, how many total pounds of nitrogen is recommended for a cool season mix of grasses in the Midwest? Andy, there's a lot of different studies that have been going on. So Rutgers tried doing one of the low input programs, and it did very poorly. UNL, University of Nebraska at Lincoln, recommends somewhere between 4 to 5 pounds on tall fescue, just due to the length of the growing season. But I've also seen it recommended as low as 3. NC State did the study showing that at what rates of nitrogen actually had a negative impact on disease outbreak in cool season grasses, and it was actually at 6 pounds of nitrogen per year. There was no statistical difference in cool season grasses and the rate of brown patch outbreak if you were at 5 pounds of nitrogen or less. So there you go. Gray Fox says, is 10 pounds per 1,000 of X-Soil enough or is more better? Also, how frequently should it be applied? It's totally up to you. After about 20 pounds per 1,000, you're not really going to see much of a visual difference, right? There's not going to be a big visual impact there. So is more better? No. After 20 pounds per 1,000, no, it's definitely not better. It's not that it's counterintuitive by any means. It's just you're not really getting any more benefit out of it. So I would stick to that 10 to 20 pounds per 1,000 as a rate. How frequently? Realistically, you could do it, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 times a year if you wanted to. And but it's totally up to you. I just usually, depending on the starting point of your soil, would dictate to me how frequently to use it. So if you have just like say you live in a new development where they came in and they scraped away all existing soil surface for you for your lawn, and so what you're starting with is just absolute bare bones rock, nothing. Then I can understand every 6 weeks getting down a heavy rate of it and supplementing it with a little bit of NP and K on top of it makes total sense. If you've already got a nice lawn, then chances are either in the spring or in the summer or in the fall, whenever you want to do it, you could come in and just lay down a nice heavy 10 to 20 pounds per thousand of it and kind of use that as a kickstart. So any which way you kind of want to use it, you can. How frequently, though, I would not make a habit of making big, heavy, frequent applications of it at all. Terry said, Centipede is the worst thing that's happened to me, but it's what I got, and the wife won't let me buy a Sanog. So I love the struggle. That's right. What's up, Jason Miller? How are you, good sir? Josh Captor said, misread the label and applied dithiopyr at roughly 2.5 times the max rates of turf type tall fescue. Didn't realize the mistake until about 3 weeks later. Anything I should do now besides learn my lesson? No, sir. Just learn your lesson, hang on to it, own it, and run with it. And hold your fingers. Hopefully nothing happens. Josh Baker said, turf type tall fescue in Western Kentucky, looking to prevent brown patch this year with propiconazole monthly starting in May. Any adverse effects to the turf? If so, anything to add to the treatment to offset it? Yes. One, propiconazole is just not that effective. Not that effective at all. So if you want to use propiconazole or a DMI as a tank companion, what's up, no one? Whoa, I hit the wrong one. Thank you, Tiffany. Unnecessary. Okay, so I would not be using a DMI as a tank companion for a strobilurin. Makes perfectly good sense to me. So, one of your cure-all fungicides like trifloxystrobin or azoxystrobin, using one of those and then as a kicker, your propiconazole, basically attacking at two different sites. What you don't want is to stick with just one mode of action and applying that over and over and over and over. That's how resistance begins to form. So what you want to do is run a minimum of 2, preferably 3 modes of action, but 2 is better than 1. And then use that as part of your program. Any adverse effects to the turf is potentially DMIs do have growth regulatory effects. So in the event you do have a problem with your turf, you are not going to be able to get it to grow out quickly after a propiconazole app. So just another thing to keep in mind. What happened? I got kicked down to the bottom here. What's up, Ace? What kind of weed control will kill chickweed, crabgrass, clover, and dandelions? If you look, Ace, go up to the search bar there and type in all about broadleaf weed control. I did a 45-minute presentation on herbicides and their efficacy rating on controlling many of those weeds. But simply put, for chickweed, clover, and dandelions, any 2,4-D triclopyr combination is going to be good. For crabgrass, Pilex is probably going to be your best for post-emergent control. Yeah, there we go. Lambert, what's up? Matt, what's up, dude? I use Sethoxidem on Zorgen beds, but it takes multiple applications. Yep, there you go. That's a good one, too. Fish Duck, how many rounds of PGR for fescue do you recommend? April through? So I would not keep fescue regulated through the peak heat. And the reason why is in the event you do get a disease, no matter what kind of fungicide program you run, even if you start to get drought stressed and you're starting to get wilt spots taken over and stuff, it's going to take so much longer to get it to recover if it's under regulation. So chances are, probably what I would do is I would regulate it up until you hit brown patch season, then let it come out of regulation and just monitor it for disease at that point. So I would run it up until you hit your disease season. I don't know where that is for you, Fish Duck. For me, that's in about 15 days. Where's the Rumplements? I don't know, man. It's somewhere over here. Nick, Matt, which form of humic acid is more efficient, effective, liquid, or granular, like what's in CX? CX does not have humic acid in it. That was our very first rendition. We had humic acid in it. However, we conducted a trial using the root hair promoting peptide in lieu of humic acid and kelp combination, and were so blown away with the results, we decided to no longer use humic acid for what we get out of cation exchange capacity and improving physical structure of the soil. We use biochar for that because of the results and adsorptive capacity, specifically its ability to absorb anions versus only cations. So we wanted to use a material that had both an AEC as well as a CEC. So we do not use any of those products. So as far as which one is more effective or efficient, you have to think about it from the standpoint of what does it actually do. So as a liquid and as a tank mix companion with micronutrients, it is a chelator. And when you're trying to get down actual higher amounts of humic acid, it can have qualities of a flocculator to a point, as long as you flush carbonates from the soil first. So, say you come in and you do your applications of citric acid first to basically react out all the carbonates. Then you can come in and flocculate with humic acid. It is a mild flocculator, and that would probably be best done in a granular form, because you likely couldn't get down enough material in a liquid form. But for a chelated form, to use it as a chelator, then your better bet would be using it as a liquid. All right. Where am I? Here in Auburn, Alabama, with Bermuda, lawn facing doveweed every summer. Any suggestions before it sprouts? That's a good question. I don't know. I know they're working on certain formulations right now, like Relzar, for instance. Relzar is one of the ones that is supposed to be really good for doveweed control. I'm not sure it has specifically pre-emergent like qualities, but I just don't know enough about it. Now, going after it post-emergently, Celsius methylfuron combination, Celsius methylfuron dismiss combinations are probably going to be your best bet. But yeah, man, tough one there. And as far as pre-emergently going after it, I'm just not familiar enough with it. I think you may have to wait until you see Relzar make its way out. If I apply X-Soil on bare ground before seeding warm season grass, is it better to just throw it on top or till it in? You take your pick, however you want to do it. The material is granulated, and it actually starts as a very, very fine micron material, 50, 60, 70, 80 microns, something like that before it's granulated. So you can pick your poison there. I've got a greened up Georgia lawn in Atlanta. I just blanket sprayed a Mazaquin. How long do I need to wait until I can do another blanket spray of 3-way? If you just applied Mazaquin, hopefully you don't have to make another blanket spray of 3-way. But I would probably wait 3 to 4 weeks, let any of the damage that's going to occur and grow out before you make your application a 3-way. It can be a pretty rough herbicide on grasses. A Mazaquin can. So let that regrow and recover before making another application of something like 3-way. Is it too late for seeding in spots? Louisville, Kentucky. I mean, you can try it. Just your chances of success. That's really a judgment call you have to make. Is it going to work? It might. I can't predict what your weather forecast is going to be. It might, but at the same time, it also may not. So, you have to ask yourself: Is it worth it in terms of performance return on investment to go out and do that? Lambert says, spray quinachloride to kill some of the centipede and St. Aug in my Zorgia. It seems to have really taken care of the St. Aug, but the centipede seems fine. Any ideas? This is why I hate centipede, Lambert, right here. I don't know which button I'm trying to hit, but I hate centipede because you can have it as an invasive in the lawn, and you can spray it with whatever you want, and it'll seemingly never die. However, if it is a perfectly full-fledged, uniform monoculture centipede lawn, and you just look at it wrong, 33% of the yard will die. And it is so frustrating. Ah! I don't know. I mean, really, at that point in your zoysia, you may want to try something like fluazafop over the top, fusilade, something like that, and see if that will work. Man, that is so frustrating. Golly. Alex said, question on sulfur levels in the soil. I'm low, 2.5 parts per million in sulfur. Do I start working in elemental sulfur for the long game and ammonium sulfate for my end source this spring? Thanks for Iowa. If you are high pH soil, then elemental sulfur and ammonium sulfate. If you're not high pH, there's no reason to be using elemental sulfur. Just make sure your nutrient sources are all sulfated. So potassium sulfate, pH neutral, contains sulfur. Ammonium sulfate, still slightly acidic, but contains sulfur. Ferrous sulfate, acidic, but still contains sulfur. Manganese sulfate, magnesium sulfate, all of that goes into it. So, but you don't have to apply elemental sulfur to supplement sulfur levels in the soil. What you would rather do is focus on sulfate. However, if you're high pH and you need to bring it down, then elemental sulfur is on the chopping block as far as options. Mark Lovasolo said, I got my soil test back results, and I have high magnesium, 125 parts per million, and high calcium, 1,600 parts per million. Is that affecting anything? No. In fact, that's not even that high. That would be pretty standard, Mark. So I would say you're probably, like around a 7, between a 7 and a 7.5 on the pH range, something like that. You're good to rock and roll with plenty of ammonium sulfate and turn it just green as all get out. You'll be good to go there. I was in Atlanta and seen two legit. Niggas Chad said, using T-Nex on St. Augustine. Any tips? Does it work? How to cut 4 inches? Yeah, it does. Any tips? No, not really. Just make sure you're applying according to your growing degree days to keep it under regulation. Also, if you have any issues with it and it's under regulation, understand it's going to take that much longer for it to recover. Don't over-apply it either. Over-applying it, over-regulating causes bronzing. Kill fescue that's in Bermuda. What's your recommendation? Monument. Monument is my recommendation. Or Tribute Total or Revolver, Form Sulfuron. All of those work really well. Jason Miller, anything you can recommend to kill patches of various fescues, bunching, tall, chewing, and red creeping fescues from my cool season mix-up in Connecticut? No. Unfortunately, glyphosate's going to be the only thing you can do there, and then just reseed it with the desirable types of fescues that you want in there. What would be the best time to start treating for grubs? Look, somebody said grubs are great to start in midsummer. That's right. Yeah, so it depends on which active ingredient you're using, whether you're using like a Celiprin or something like Merit and imidacloprid. Look, OSU Turfman answered you right there. There you go. John Falcon said, Matt, after sand leveling yesterday and tossing out sissygrass seed today, which is perennial ryegrass for those playing along at home, what can I do to have a good-looking yard tomorrow? That's funny. That's funny, John. Have you ever used Hydrotane? Is it legit? Somebody asked me that yesterday. Yeah, it is legit. But you have to understand what you're using it for. So I would use it if I was trying to grow in very large areas that were not under irrigation. Then it would make sense for me to spend the budget on using something like Hydrotane. Would I just use Hydrotane just to use it like across the board? No, absolutely not. It's a tool in the toolbox. So if I have a set of circumstances that would require the use of Hydrotane, in the example, there is no irrigation, there's unpredictable rainfall, unmanageable expectations from the client and the contractor relationship, then it may make sense to budget that in there and use it. But is it legit? Yeah, it's legit. Whoa, I jumped down. Let me go back up here. Where am I? Okay. Going to lay sod, zoysia. Any soil prep recommendations for laying the sod? Egg soil or hit it hard with humic? I mean, it totally depends. X-Soil would be a great one for you there. Hitting it hard with humic wouldn't be bad if, again, you've done something to eliminate the carbonates from your soil. Then it would make sense to go in with that as a flocculator. So I would kind of need to know if it's just kind of flat off the bat, you're looking for something to do, then and you haven't done any preparation as far as like doing a citric acid application or something like that, then it would make sense to use something like X-Soil. John Falcon, thoughts on prodiamine and dimension for broadleaf pre-emergence? It seems to be popular to promote these for broadleaf on the internets. Okay, so there is a certain level of efficacy for broadleaf control on that. John, I've been doing this for a long time, and when prodiamine, which was originally Barricade, came on to the market, it was actually very effective in terms of its ability to prevent broadleaf weeds, your summer annuals, right? And in the same instance, Dimension actually was very good for that too. Now, on the flip side of that is that if you're talking about the broadleaf weeds you're seeing right now, what we're seeing right now are winter germinated broadleaf weeds. They germinated last fall, and we're just having to deal with them now. So if you would have applied prodiamine back in the fall, would you be dealing with them now? Chances are probably not very much. It would cut them down pretty significantly. Would you still have some breakthrough? Yes. But you would see the level of efficacy there. The problem is that a lot of times we're applying it right now for what's coming in the summer. And then really the only thing in the summer we're usually dealing with is maybe a little bit of Lespedeza, maybe a little bit of spurge. And Dimension might give you a little bit better result on spurge than prodiamine will. So in all fairness, they actually are pre-emergence against broadleaf weeds, but they have to be timed appropriately for the broadleaf weeds you're expecting. The ones they do not work well on are your perennials, like buttonweed is not going to work very well. Doveweed, like we were talking about, that's not even really a broadleaf weed. Golly, there was one more. American burnweed, fireweed, we call it down south. Is not very effective in that because it tends to germinate in the thatch layer. Like it I mean, like, does not tack into the soil at all. I mean, fireweed is a real weird one. Any way to not spend a ton of money on a 20,000 square foot lawn in regards to applying a proper amount of nutrients per year? My soil test has me very low in everything, basically. Granular versus liquid for a large lawn. So if you're very low in everything and you're concerned about balancing the soil, then granular is really going to be your only option, because you're not going to be able to get down pounds of material on the ground in a liquid form. A liquid form would be if you're applying every 2 weeks, every 2 to 3 weeks, and you can stay on top of that type of spray cycle to make sure symptoms of deficiency never have a chance to set in on the grass. Because if you force the plant to look for the root system to take up any of its NP and K, and it's that deficient, it will immediately be sent into a state of deficiency. Versus if you apply it granularly and you get down a fair amount, and it's fine for it at that point to be able to look at the root system to be able to take up materials versus just relying on it to be forced in through the leaves primarily. So is there a way to do it? Yeah. I mean, you can go get a bag of 10 for cheap and get it down. So a bag of 10, say you need to get down, a pound of NP and K all together. Go get a bag of 10 and throw it down, $13, $14, $15, something like that. Is super easy way and an economical way to do that. Barry said, a customer planted fine fescue in a shady area, now looking for me to care. Oh, man. Barry, good luck, man. Just don't cut it. Is probably the only thing I can come up with is do not cut it. And they're going to be like, it's laying over and it doesn't look good. Yeah, that's right. Because fine fescue just doesn't look good. And the more you cut it, the more you're going to stress it out. If you were in North Dakota and you had fine fescue, yeah, you can cut it. But you're in Texas, man. It just, oh man, you're in a real tight position there. I honestly don't know, Barry. That's outside of my realm, and I wish you the best of luck. That does not sound like fun to me at all. Stout says, why is there such a wide range when you talk about stickers? I'm using Duo Stick, and the label says 16 ounces to 48 ounces per 100 gallons. So, like, I think with Duo Stick, you're actually buffering the pH of your soil with the pH of your spray solution with it as well. So you, depending on the pH of your water, you may have to add higher amounts in order to get the pH down with something like Duo Stick. Gravy, you're in North Dakota. Gravy, you're in North Dakota, so you can handle mowing the fine fescue. He's in West Texas. He's already 95 degrees. You how many days above freezing have you had so far this year? You can have fine fescue up there. Barry cannot have fine fescue in West Texas. I'm sorry. Okay, Turf Tight Tall Fescue Transition Zone. Okay to roll my own liquid fungicide at 3336 propiconazole and azoxystrobin and use that combo every 3 weeks. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are good to go. Sorry I'm late. Headed to the dean's office. Oh, boy. Shane Brady bringing the heat. Is Subvert Dep 10 a competitor? If so, what's the difference between their peptides and carbon earth? No, they're not a competitor. That's actually who we buy from. B-Town's Most Wanted. We buy from Subvert. Those are the peptides we use. Tiffany White says, I've got a super shiny clay soil in Texas all day long, full sun and heat. My yard is so gross right now, I feel compelled to share with my friends. Doing a complete reno in June with Compadre Zorja. That actually sounds like that's going to work. Any recommendations? First things first that I would do is probably get a soil test and see what your pH is. If you need to do any kind of pH manipulation, take care of that before they lay your sod. But outside of that, that would really be the only thing. If they're going to come in and do a complete runo with Compadre Zorja, that'll give you a brand new fresh start. As far as recommendations, just stay on top of your watering, and you should be good to go. It is not, Compadre is not going to be incredibly difficult. So once you get it down and going, correct your pH issues on the front end, you should be golden. The Long Guardian says, what's up, Matt? Hey, man, what outside air temperature milestone should I wait to see on a consistent basis to put down a fungus preventative here in St. Louis, Missouri? So what I would look for is within the next, 14 to 21 days is seeing 80 to 85 during the day and 60 to 65 at night. Those are going to be your triggers for brown patch. Flocculator was my nickname in college. There we go. Fertilizer, not feet. There is very inexpensive fertilizer with micros integrated called Turf Grow. There we go. Chaz Elam said, buying a house in July. Can I seed Turf Tight Tall Fescue or should I just deal with the dirt till fall? No, man, you should be go. It should be good to go. Well, okay. I see what you're saying now. Can you seed it in July? You can. Is the likelihood of it surviving high? No, it's not. It's pretty low. But you may get 10, 15, 20% to survive. And if that's worth the money to you to get that 10, 15, 25%, then by all means. If you have a very mild winter, you may get all of it to survive. So I don't know your weather forecast, so I can't make that kind of prediction. But if you do have a mild summer and you don't mind risking the money, then sure, why not? Go for it. Are you going to have better success doing it in the fall? Probably. With less headache? Probably. Colby Burcham, any information on PBI's Vexus? Yeah, Colby, I did a whole show on it on Turfs Up Radio. I would love for them to come on and talk about it. Kind of a not really a new mode of action there, more in the ALS inhibitor line. So it's just neat that you can kind of do your shake and bake container on it and keep it going. Yeah, personally, I think it's fine. I like Solero as a product more than I do the Vexus product, but you know, it is what it is. Dude, you got CX dialed in. Good, man. I appreciate that. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it. Gravy said, Matt, I made it. Just got in from power raking and dethatching 350 gallons of material from my backyard. Ooh, I have not seen your mower, sir. I have not. You'll have to throw that in the Discord. For those of you that want to play along at home, you can go to the lawn Discord.com. It's kind of some inside baseball going on over at the lawn Discord. I'll tell you that right now. Command 3ME, I think, is a new pre-emergent. Any good for homeowners? Command 3ME. I've never heard of this. I'm going to look at it. Command 3ME. FMC Ag. Let's see. Is the South's #1 pre-emergent solution for protecting rice production. Okay, let's look at the label. So far, I can tell you it's not labeled for turf. And it's clomazone. Do not spray this on turf. Hazard to humans and domestic animals. Caution. Do not spray this on turf. Web education. Just don't do it. It's not worth it, man. It is not worth it. Seriously. Don't do it. The clear coat I put on loves dust. Oh, man. I never thought about that. Oh, look at this bad boy. That is sharp, sir. Woo! That is slick. Good work. Over on the Discord, Gravy revamped his mower, and it looks incredible. My goodness, sir. If one was running a preventative fungicide program on fescue, could you use propiconazole for 1 month and then azoxystrobin the next instead of using them both at the same time to prevent resistance? No. Alternating does not prevent resistance like they used to think it did. That's the old school train of thought, was that you alternate. The new research shows you have to combine modes of action to attack multiple sites at one time. Azoxystrobin, the strobilurin, attacks one specific site. Propiconazole, the DMI, attack one specific site. So as long as you're only hitting one site per application, even though it may differ which site you hit, you're still only hitting one at one time. So the probability for mutation for resistance to occur is still high. Versus if you tank mix them, then your chances for resistance are lower because it would have to make 2 genetic mutations at one time in order to fight resistance. So no, do not tank mix them alternating month to month. Do not alternate them month to month. You actually combine them and tank mix them. That is the appropriate way to do it, not alternating anymore. Would you take Speed Zone, T-Zone, or Q4 for broadleaf? I do not like Q4 at all. T-Zone is effective, but I don't like it either because I want more control over my sulfentrazone rate. I do like Speed Zone. The rest of them, I would rather roll my own. Tiffany, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm hitting the wrong buttons over here. I'm doing it solo, and I'm doing seed. Probably will video and share with the lawn community because I know it will be satisfying. Oh, that's right. Compadre is a seeded variety. Okay. As far as any tips, do not expect it to grow in fully the first year. Understand it's going to take 2 growing seasons. Also, don't jump on controlling the weeds. Do not worry about the weeds the first year. Just let it roll. Roll with it. It's going to be a little weedy. You can attack the weeds the second year. First year, just get it up, keep it mowed, feed it appropriately. And then year number 2, that's when it's time to start headbanging and busting some skulls and really starting to make it look nice. So just expect it to be a 2-year process. That's going to be the best advice I can give for you on it. Matt Martinez says, when should you start PGR? Wait for full green up or just put it down half rate? I assume You're talking about Bermuda grass. Wait for full green up. Wait for full green up. Nick, follow up. Neighbor has tons of grassy weeds. Dig up or use cool season Pennsylvania mixed grasses seeded last fall, but use pre-em in spring here. If you want to, I don't know which grassy weeds they are. So I would probably say I would use a product to spray them out. And I would probably do something like Tenacity and Triclopyr, or Pylex and Triclopyr to get a nice broad spectrum cleanup. Let's see. Lawn Strike, what are you doing, sir? What are you doing? I got my buttons right that time. Let's see. Hello from Lakeville, Minnesota. What's up, dude? Hey, man. Welcome here. Welcome aboard the Soul Train. Haywood Ken said, Turf Type Tall Fescue, Kentucky Bluegrass mix, and I want to go to a different, better seed type mix of the same this fall. Better to dethatch, core aerate, overseed, or just smoke it off with Gly and start fresh. If you want to make a sure change and you want to make sure it's going to change, then go ahead and smoke it all out with Gly and then start over with your new varieties. Just seeding into it with that, you may be years, it may take a decade for you to make any real progress in getting that to outcompete the other varieties. Web Education says just tank mix Sethoxidin plus Dismiss NXT to kill torpedo. Don't care about the nearby Floritam. Was this a bad idea? I don't think so. I don't know the label rates off the top of my head, so I'm going to say no, it wasn't a bad idea. I think you'll be fine. Eric Ellis said, neighbor wants to get into lawn care transition zone on my lawn. I do prodiamine, and then second half I do dithiapyr about 2 more weeks. Is it worth putting down prodiamine first, or should I just do the dithiapyr? I did a video that is all about teaches you the appropriate way to use dithiapyr and my thoughts on prodiamine versus dithiapyr. I don't think it's worth it to combine using both in the same season. Just pick one and run with it is kind of my philosophy on it. So what you're doing, is it worth putting down prodiamine first, or should I just do dithiapyr? It's all semantics at that point, because it's the same mode of action. The plant isn't going to know any difference. Dithiapyr is actually a slightly stronger root printer than prodiamine, but prodiamine lasts a lot longer than dithiapyr does. So there you go. You just kind of pick one and run with it. Is one better than the other? No. How long does Carbon X last in the ground? Moderate rain. It depends on your soil structure. So more clay soils are going to be longer. We've got a chart up on the website. You can take a look at the Lawn Fix. If you're in sandier soils, it's safe to assume it'd probably be about half that. So absolute max in sandy soil would be like 6 weeks, something like that. Mark said, my soil test said I'm low on nitrate nitrogen and ammonium nitrate. It recommends 3204. Is Carbon X 3 pounds per 1,000 enough? Yeah, that's a great way, because that's 0.75 pounds of N, 0.72 pounds in at 3 pounds per 1,000. So it will definitely get those up. I did a soil test. My calcium level is 15,890. Is there any way to bring it down? You must be in Texas, Nixon, because only in Texas do I ever see calcium levels that high. Don't mess with Texas, because they will snuff you out of existence with their calcium levels. Is there any way to bring it down? Not really. I wish I had better news for you. No, but you should never have to apply calcium. How about that? If you want, now this is going to sound real crazy. Like in an effort to try and bring it down would be to apply sulfuric acid to your lawn in order to get the calcium to react with it and form a calcium salt that could then leach away. And that's like, I don't recommend anybody applying sulfuric acid to your lawn. That is not something anyone should undergo unless they are a very dedicated scientist with very precise equipment. So otherwise, just live with it. It ain't going to cause really any damage, and it's not going to keep your grass from looking good. Just understand that you don't ever need to really apply calcium. You have a calcium limestone bedrock as a soil. Does Milky Spore for grubs get your stamp of approval? No, absolutely not. It works on like one specific type of grub. Other than that, it is, in my opinion, not good. Where did I go? I'm jumping around. Okay, here we go. Shane Brete, the hardest working man in lawn care, said, I bought some Anu and plan to use it on my lawn and a few that I still mow. Sick of triple cutting in the spring. Probably I'm going to use at 0.3 ounces per 1,000. Hey, there you go. Hi-ya. That's a big shout out to Paul there. Absolutely, Josh. You're very welcome, sir. Very welcome. Tiffany White's going to have a channel up there. Is it going to be Riffany White? Is that what it is? Can you combine T-zone and speed zone in the same tank mix? 1.5 ounces per 1,000. You can, but I wouldn't. There's no real reason to do that. It's not going to make it work better by combining those two. I saw you have a distributor in Springfield, Massachusetts now. Yeah, that's right. I do. Interested in switching to carbon or cool season grass, mostly rye, Kentucky Blue, some fescue. Which granular product do you recommend? Lavalelle Turf Care, I would recommend, depending on your seasons, it will probably look like this. So start with Carbon X, and then whether you do 1 or 2 applications in the spring is kind of up to you and how you structure your program. And then probably X Green, the 818 product during the summer. And then if you do any fall seedings and you need the phosphorus, then X Start is a great product for there. And then to put it to sleep, do 1 more application of Carbon X before it goes dormant. So that's probably how I would structure that. If you send a contact request to the website, one of the guys will get to you on that. Make sure I'm pushing Matt's button. Yeah, you're funny. You are funny. Let's see. Actually, in Virginia, not Texas. Man, I have never seen that in Virginia. And I've seen, wow, what part of Virginia are you in? I, honest to goodness, have never seen that in Virginia. I would expect that out of Texas. All my brothers down there in the Dallas area and all that range have to deal with just some absolutely disgusting things. But clearly Virginia's got it too. And I will say I saw something out of the corner of my eye. John Pinkerton said, my neighbor aerated a year ago and the holes are still hanging around. Any thoughts? Huh. I actually have no thoughts on that. I'm trying to think. I really have no idea how that could happen, John. I'm racking my brain on it. I'm trying to think, like, what about the physical structure of the soil would keep that from would keep that hanging open like that. And I've got nothing. That's beyond me. That is beyond me. I wish I knew how to help, but I really don't. Susan Webster said, I burned down a few spots of turf-tight tall fescue being heavy-handed, killing off wild violet. Any recommendation to recover over the next few weeks? Just patience, and hopefully it will recover. But really at that point, it's just a little patience. If you want to try and fertilize the lawn, something like that, to get it to aid in pushing out, that might help. Seemed odd. New construction, maybe lots of compaction. Yeah, that was partly what I was thinking. Also, clay in general, just if it has higher clay content, it may be less prone to want to shift out of that structure. So I do not know. I really do not know. To counter the clay, I was going to do gypsum. So will that make my Texas limestone crappy clay worse? Yeah, I would not recommend using gypsum to break apart clay. If you, that's kind of an old wives' tale. So I would not even put that in your brain as a consideration. Physically manipulating the soil would counteract the clay, and as soon as you get your zoysia growing on it, your zoysia is going to do more for correcting the clay than anything else. Chris, what are you doing, Chris? Chris said, what soil temperature should I start my blanket sulfentrazone apps? I want to get as much pre-emergent control as possible. So what you would probably want to do is around that 55 is when you would start it. And remember, 4 ounces per 1,000 square feet. 4 ounces per 1,000 square feet. All right, where am I at here? Where am I at? Let me find my way. DIY Lawn Care Monster said, wait. Adrian said, hey, Matt, what is the rate for turf type tall fescue when renovating a lawn? Depending on the variety, 8 to 10 pounds of turf type tall fescue per 1,000 seed rate. Is it aggravating that people think weed and feed is a fix for all their lawns? Yeah, it is, because DIY Lawn Care Monster, I don't know if you were here for the first part of the show, but I was talking about how oversimplification is devaluation. I feel like it devalues the industry as a whole when it's oversimplified to just a weed and feed. If it was a weed and feed that would correct everything, why do we have turf science, soil science as majors in universities? It's way more complex than that. I was of the impression that dithiopyr had a slight post-emerging effect on baby crabgrass. Not true. That's why I use it for second app. Crabgrass usually shows up in about a month. So it does if you use the maximum label rate. If you look at the dimension label, the dithiopyr label, it tells you exactly how to get post-emergent control out of it. You have to use the absolute maximum rate with a surfactant, and you have to spray it when it's at a certain I can't remember what leaf stage it is, but it's like somewhere between like 1 and 5 leaf stage. And it has to be that narrow window. If it's outside of that, it's not going to have any post-emergent activity. If you don't have the surfactant, it's not going to have any post-emergent activity. If it's less than max rate, it's not going to have any post-emergent activity. My soil pH is 7.4. Should I try to lower it? And will it affect my iron uptake? Potentially, yes, Eric Kincaid. Should you lower it? Yeah. But if you just use ammonium sulfate as your primary end source, over time, it will drop it. I personally, at a 7.4, would I be out putting down elemental sulfur and all that? No. Just naturally fertilize, and it should bring it down over time. If you add in an application of ammonium sulfate in the winter before it goes dormant, something like that, then that would really mainly be the only thing I would worry about. Is it really going to affect your iron uptake? Slightly. Yeah. If you do apply iron, make sure you're applying it with an acid source too, like ammonium sulfate or citric acid, like ferrous citrate, or a nice, powerful chelated one like EDDHA. Let's see. Where am I? Mark Lobosolo said, what's a good strategy to prep my lawn for fall? Core, aerate, and overseed. Cool season lawn. What's a preferred seed mix? So as far as a preferred seed mix, what I like to do is just look at the label and make sure that there is no other crop, 0.0% other crop, because even if it's only 0.1%, if you've got 100,000 seeds in the bag, that means you've got 100 potential weed seeds in the bag if you have an other crop of 0.1%. So 0 other crop, 0 weed seed, and 85 to 90% germination rate, and that should be good. And then what I would do is I would look at the ntep.org, ntep.org, and look at the highest scoring ones, and then contact your seed dealers to see which ones they carry, which ones they have in stock, and let that be your determining factor for which one you use. Just got 2 bags of X-Cream. What is a good rate for low-cut Bermuda at a 5,000 square foot lawn? Anywhere from 3 to 6 pounds per 1,000. You'll be good. Any recommendations on products to apply to turf type tall fescue? You can take a bluegrass that is going to be seeded in July on freshly graded dirt in Middle Tennessee. Golly. In Middle Tennessee? Shoo. Just water, my friend. It's starter fertilizer and water. That is it. Yeah, I do not. Man, good luck, dude. Good luck. Just ordered a bag of carbon X out of Bermuda in North Georgia. When should I apply it? The first feeding? As soon as it gets there. Have at it, man. It is go time. What are you doing? That is unnecessary. Unnecessary. So unnecessary. Thank you. Just put peat moss on the lawn. Grass seems to be looking much healthier. Also considering Excel, how often would I need to use it? We talked about this earlier. You could realistically get away with doing it once, maybe twice a year, something like that. Peat moss for water retention, that's fine. You can do that too. 2,597 calcium here in North Texas, 60 miles from Dallas-Fort Worth. There we go. Another high calcium level. Yeah, Tiffany, I think gypsum is overrated. It's been pitched as a clay buster for so long, but in all the trials, it has shown that there's never really been any added benefit in doing anything for clay other than just adding calcium to it. The idea is that if you have a clay soil that is low in calcium and you add calcium to it, it can flocculate the soil, aggregate some of those clay particles, and allow for better infiltration of water. But if you're in Texas where you have very high calcitic clay, adding more calcium to a calcitic clay really ain't going to do you no good. Casey Cicconetti said, Cicconetti. I don't know how to say your name, Casey. I was just playing with it. Northeast Ohio, lawn has been taken over by bent grass. Do I cut shorter and live with it or smoke it off and start over? When would I start to kill it and reseed? So later in summers when I would start to kill it, and then plan on reseeding in the fall if you do want to smoke it off. Personally, I don't like bent grass because I have a history with it, and I never was successful at managing bent grass. I was okay on a golf, but it really that's about it. I don't like bent grass. Is there a benefit to humic? I tried a A/B test on my lawn and didn't notice anything different. Is the benefit over time, months per years? That's the whole reason why we don't use humic as a company, Ryan. Is that there's only very specific instances where it works. So as a chelator for micronutrients, that for sure is proven that works. As a flocculator, if you have flushed all the carbonates out of your soil and then using humic, then yes, that works. Outside of that, I have failed to replicate any kind of positive benefit out of it long term. So first application, second application, getting a positive benefit. Outside of that, I haven't. So that was what swayed us as a company to no longer use humic acid. All right, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I had a ton of fun tonight. For those of you playing along at home, I tell you right now what you can do. Get ready, because tomorrow on turfsubradio.com from 4 to 6 p.m., I will be live hosting the Drive Home. And if you haven't listened, you don't know what you're missing out. We get buck wild over there. Every day, Monday through Friday, for 2 hours a day, it is all turf all the time, baby. So be sure to check that out tomorrow. If you want to hang out at the show after the show, you can head on over to the lawndiscord.com. We have our own private Discord server where we talk about all things turf and a little bit about how cool we used to be at some points in our past. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate it so much. We will see ya in the lawn. That was so lame. I shouldn't have said that. I don't know which one.